How much do you know about where your produce comes from? As you scan the shelves of your local supermarket or the streets of Rio de Janeiro's daily feiras, most of the fruits and vegetables you see will be produced by a handful of large agro-businesses, even the ostensibly locally based feiras. In Brazil, in particular, due to the complex food distribution systems and a lack of land use reform, it is at times impossible for traditional agrarian farmers to break into the market and even at times just to survive.
For a better understanding of the inequality that exists in terms of land use in Brazil, 46% of all arable land in Brazil belongs to less than 1% of the population, leaving approximately 12 million rural workers without land and left with poor labor opportunities. However, up to 25% of the registered arable land has been declared unproductive, according to Brazil's National Institute for Colonization and Agrarian Reform. Since the days of the Portuguese large land grant captaincies, Brazil has never had significant agrarian reform, so this unused land, which could theoretically provide for small farmers, remains undistributed and unproductive. The Brazilian landless workers movement, in Portuguese o Movimento dos Trabalhadores Rurais Sem Terra, or MST, collectively fights against this unequal land distribution. The MST is a social movement which unites and organizes rural farmers and their allies in order to fight for land reform and social equality in rural areas. Their goal is to reduce landlessness by putting land, especially unproductive land, back into the hands of small farmers while following sustainable agroecological practices. They act primarily through forming assentamentos which occupy and cultivate unused areas in latifundios, large landed estates, in order to demand land and services such as healthcare and schools from the government. The MST has these assentamentos, or communities of traditional farmers, scattered throughout Brazil, and they have had some success in securing farmland for landless families.
An example of one of these land collectives is Assentamento Terra Prometida, located in the state of Rio de Janeiro. We visited Terra Prometida to better understand the local history. This specific assentamento is made up of dozens of families currently farming on government-owned land in Nova Iguacu. The families that make up Terra Prometida have been living and working in Nova Iguacu since 2008. Prior to this, they had been occupying land in Santa Cruz, in the west zone of Rio de Janeiro, until they were forced out by a multinational steel company. As compensation for this eviction, the government offered to let the family settle on the land that is now Terra Prometida and promised to help build homes and provide electricity and other services. However, the government has yet to provide any support beyond permitting the farmers to live and work on state land, and the families have had to build their own houses and infrastructure, most often through communal militarois. The families work with the resources they have to farm the difficult land they've been given. They sell their chemical-free produce such as aipim and bananas in the communities to which they have access and through Rede Ecológica group in Rio de Janeiro. Without any government support, while facing multinational agribusiness, daily life is a struggle and their property rights are still uncertain. It is important to support local farms such as Terra Prometida because they practice sustainable methods and they work collectively with a focus on workers' rights and traditional farming education. Many of these organizations in Brazil are stigmatized by large media such as Globo because of the corporation's connections to big agribusiness. To get involved, support local agrarian networks such as the MST, whose support extends beyond Brazil and is the social movement with the largest membership in Latin America. You can also support their allies such as Rede Ecológica in Rio or other organizations under the Via Campesino, the Global Agrarian Rights Network.